So what we are doing budgeting, but before we are doing budgeting, that is where we are. But today we want to do flexible budgets. But before we do flexible and fixed budgets, there is a question that I had given you. Was it November 2016? It's a question that I had given you November 2016. I want us to revisit that question, and then we go to budgets. Is it November or May? Huh? November 20? November 2016, number 5, isn't it? So budgets here, we are doing budgets, and we are doing November 2016, question number 5. This is where we are. We are doing budgets, November 2016, number 5. So we want to revisit this question, and then we do flexible budgets. November 2016, number 5. So November 2016, number 5. So November 2016, number 5. So the question reads, the following information has been extracted from the books of Wazi Enterprises Limited, a company dealing with the manufacture of plastic containers. So the sales budget for the 6 months of the financial year ending 31st December 2016 was as follows. So we have been given the month January, February, March, April, May, June, and then we have been given the sales unit. Additional information, number 1, finished goods inventory at the end of each month is expected to be 20% of budgeted sales quantity for the following months. Number 2, finished goods inventory was 2,700 units on 1st January 2016. And number 3, there will be no stock in progress at the end of each month. Number 4, each unit of finished product requires 2 types of raw materials as follows. Material X 4 kgs at 10 shillings per kg. Material Y 6 kgs at 15 shillings per kg. Number 5, material on hand on 1st January 2016 was 19,000 kgs of material X and 29,000 kgs of material Y. Number 6, monthly closing stock of materials budgeted to be equal to a half of the requirement of the next month's production. Number 7, budgeted direct labor hours per unit of finished goods product is a third, 3/4 of an hour. Budgeted direct labor hours per unit of finished product is 3/4 an hour. And number 8, budgeted direct labor cost for the first quarter of the year 2016 is 10,89,000 shillings. Number 9, actual data for the quarter ended at 1st March 2016 is as follows. Actual production quantity was 40,000 units. Direct material cost, purchases cost based on material actually issued to production. Material X, 165,000 kgs at 10.2 shillings per kg. Material Y, 238,000 kgs at 15.10 per kg shillings. Actual direct labor hours worked was 32,000 hours. Actual direct labor cost 1,312,000. Required A1 monthly production quantity for the quarter ended at 1st March 2016, 4 marks. 2, monthly raw material consumption quantity budget for the 4 months from January 2016 to April 2016, 4 marks. And 3, material purchases quantity budget for the quarter ended at 1st March 2016, 4 marks. And B, compute the following variances. 1, material price variance, 2 marks. Material usage variance, 2 marks. Direct labor rate variance, 2 marks. Direct labor efficiency variance, 2 marks. Total marks, 20. So number 1, we want us to compute what we call production budget. Production. So number 1, they want us to production budget. So this is what we call production budget. So production budget is always in units. The units that you estimate or plan to produce, if you're a production manager or you're working in a production firm, so you have to budget what you're going to produce. So we say this one has a formula. It is the sales units. Sales units, of course, of the finished goods. So it is the sales units of the finished goods plus the closing stock of finished goods. Closing stock, finished goods, minus opening stock, finished goods. So FG stands for finished goods. FG stands for finished goods. So once you know now what is the budget period. So the budget period refers to the length of time, the duration that the period is covering, the budget is covering. So here we've been told to prepare the budget, monthly quantity, monthly production quantity for the quarter ended 31st March, isn't it? So in other words, you're preparing for January, February, and March. So here we can write here January, February, March, but there's no problem if we prepare also for April. It will be required somewhere else. It will be required somewhere else, but it's not needed. It's not. Yeah, so production budget. So here this one, production budget is in units. Production budget is in units. So what are the sales units? So the estimated sales units in January, it is 10,000. Where am I getting? The second paragraph. The sales budget for the 6 months for the financial year ending 31st December 2016 was as follows. So this is 10,000. So here are sales units here. You write here sales units. So here it is 10,000. 10,000. And then here we have 12,000. Then here we have 14. And then here we have 15,000. Those are the sales. And then we write here, we have the closing stock. Closing stock of finished goods. So the closing stock of finished goods, it is additional information number 1. So some students are confusing when they reach here to closing stock. So we have 2 kinds of stocks. We have stocks of raw materials and the stocks of finished goods. So when it comes to production budget, we use stocks of finished goods, not of raw materials. So the stocks of the finished goods are being given how to get that value, how to get that the quantity in additional information number 1, which says finished goods inventory at the end of each month is expected to be 20% of budgeted sales quantity for the following month. So the closing stock is equivalent to 20% of the sales of the next month. So 20% of 12,000. So the next month from January is February. So 20% of 12,000 is how much? Sorry? So this is 2,400, isn't it? And then 20% of this other one. Huh? So we're looking at 20% of 14,000. And 2,800. So this one is 2,000. Then we're looking at 20% of this other one. How much is it? Huh? So 3,000. And then we're looking at 20% of May. How much is it? 3,000. So, and then we less opening stock. So the opening stock. Finished goods inventory was 2,700 on 1st January 2016. So the opening stock in January 2016 was how much? 2,700. Is it so? So the closing stock in January will be the opening stock in February. So this one you deduct. This one will be 2,000, and this one will be 3,000. So now you get the quantity. That is the production budget. Anyone who did it and got it? I have given it out as assignment, isn't it? No one did it. If you are in primary school, what will be the expectation? Huh? Closing stock in January and opening stock in February. Sinikweli. Yeah, closing stock February, opening stock in March. So happening how much? 2,700. This is another 9,700. This other one? $12,400. The other one? Eh? 14,200, isn't it? And the other one? Eh? 14,000. 15. So 15,000. But remember, they only wanted us to go up to this point, isn't it? For these 3 months, isn't it? This one is not needed, but I know somewhere else it will be required, isn't it? So it's working for something else. So that is the production budget. How many marks do you have? 4 marks. Very easy marks to get. Is it so? You can even close your eyes and get them, isn't it? And then next, I hope my speed is okay. And then the next monthly raw material consumption quantity budget for the 4 months. So now they want you to determine the material the quantity of the material that is going to be used in the production. So these units that are going to be produced, they require raw materials, isn't it? So they want you to estimate the raw material that you're going to use to produce whatever it is that you have estimated to produce. So monthly raw material consumption budget for the 4 months, for January to April. So this is consumption, material usage or material consumption. So we call it material usage budget. So it's called material usage budget. Material usage budget. So from January, so we have January, February, March, and April. Is that okay? So January, February, and April. So we said material usage. So we have, no, you don't do like that. That one is wrong. It is the title that should be, it is a material. We have 2 kinds of material. We have material X and material Y, isn't it? So you said when the whatever budget they have asked you to make, the title should be that particular item that they have told you to come up with, isn't it? If they told you material, then the material should be the title, isn't it? So in January, now here January we are producing 9,700 units, correct? In January, isn't it? The total production in January, we estimate to produce how many units? 9,700 units. And then we are saying each unit, not additional information number 4. Each unit of finished product requires 2 types of raw materials as follows. Material X, 4 kg, isn't it? So each unit requires 4 kg of material X. So we're going to multiply the total units that are going to be produced times 4. How much do you get? 38. So this is 38,800. Then the same 9,700 you also multiply by 6. What do you get? 58,200, isn't it? That is January, isn't it? And then February we are producing 2,400, and then you multiply by 4 and 6 respectively. So this is the total material usage in January. Tumeelewana? Hii ingine itakuwa ngapi? 49,600. And the other one? 74,400. And then in March you're producing 14,200. So you multiply by 4 for X and 6 for Y. 56,000. And the other one? 85, 200, isn't it? 85, 200. That is March, isn't it? They also want us to do what for? April. So production April ngapi? That is the reason why I wanted us to do for April, correct? So 15,000, you multiply by 4 for X, and you multiply by 6. Eh? So this one is 60,000. Na hiyo ingine 90,000. 90,000. So this is the total quantity of material X that you're going to use in January to produce 9,700 units. This is the total quantity of material Y that is going to be used in the production of 9,700. So we're in line with whatever it is that they want us to do. They're asking us the monthly raw material consumption. Consumption means usage, the material that we're going to use, correct? So that is how we do that particular budget. Tumeelewana? Then number three, this was number 2. They want us to produce material purchases budget. So this is material purchases budget. Material purchases budget. Material purchases budget. So how do you prepare this budget? Anyone who can remember? Anyone who remembers? What is the process? What is the material usage? Material usage plus closing stock, raw material, isn't it? Minus opening stock, raw material. So this is how this budget is prepared, correct? Melana? So for the year, now they want that for the quarter, isn't it? For the quarter ended at 1st March. So that it means January, February, and March. So here we have material usage. Material usage hapa itakuwa ngapi? January itakuwa 38. So sorry, we have material X and material X and material Y, isn't it? So in January, material usage, ndio? Material usage. So here we have material X. Oh, this one we can't do it. Hatuwezi fanya yote pamoja. So we'll do one. Sasa. So we have material X and material usage. So we have material X and material Y. So which is the best way? So this is material X. No. So we have January. Let me see. January, February, March. Material usage. So this is January, February. Let me see. And March. So material X. This one is going to be X. So material usage. Material usage. I think we are going to do 1. So material usage in January is how much? 38, 800. This is 49, 600. And this is 56, 800. This is it. Material usage. January, February. This is material X. You know the titles, huh? Material X. Closing stock raw material. Closing stock raw material. Closing stock raw material. So the closing stock raw material is how to get it. It is given in note number. So the same monthly closing stock raw material is budgeted to be equal to a half of the requirement of the next month's production, isn't it? So the next half of the next month's production is the equivalent to closing stock here, isn't it? So the requirement of the next month's production, this is the next month's production, the requirement of the next month, a half of it is equivalent to closing stock of the previous months. So half of 9,600 is how much? 24? 800. Half of this one is how much? 28? 28,400. then a half of this one, isn't it? Which is 30,000. You know? Then we less opening stock. Opening stock raw material in January, material X. So note number 5, material on hand on 1st January 2008 was, so here it was 19,000, isn't it? So closing stock in January will be the opening stock in February. Here it will be, is it so? So tunapata nini? Material purchases budget in quantity. Nani hajaelewa hiyo turudie? Umeelewa? Wewe uko sawa? Haya, so add yes. So this is 28,400. This one. This is closing stock in February, the opening stock in March. Ama? Yeah. Oh, it's supposed to be 28,400. Eh? 28,400. Sorry. So it is like that, isn't it? $58. $44? $44,600. And this other one? 53,200. Sasa, hiyo ndio material purchases budget material X. Then we have material Y here. We have material Y. So this one will be like this. Material Y. Material Y. So we have January, February, and March. So material Y, February, January, February, and March. So we have material usage. Material usage. So material usage for this is it 38? It was 38,200, isn't it? 38,200, 74, 400, and 200. Then here we have the closing stock. Here you can also multiply by, you can get it in quantity, and also sometimes this one, sometimes they require it in money, isn't it? In money, we have been told material X. So here you can multiply by 10, you can multiply by 10 and by 10, isn't it? And then you get, so it is in kgs and in 10. Each unit is purchased at how much? But they want material quantity, or they just want quantity, they don't want in money. But if they want in money also, you multiply by the cost per unit, isn't it? So the closing stock here, closing stock raw materials. So the closing stock raw materials, the closing stock of raw material. So we've been told the closing stock of raw material is equivalent to a half of the next month's requirement. So half of this one will be equivalent to, this is the next requirement. So half of this one is how much? 37,200. And this other one? 42,600. And this is 45,000, isn't it? 45,000. And then we less opening stock. Opening stock. So the opening stock is 29. Is it 29,000? So this one was 29,000. This one is going to be 37,200. This one is going to be 42,600. So what do you get? The first one, 46, 400. 79, 79, 800, 87, 87, 600. So that is how those budgets should be done. Sasa, tumeelewana? I think we have how many months up to that point? 12. So, no. Then they want us to produce what we call the material price. So you can write this one. I think, yes. Januari tunatumia X. Gani yetu tunatumia X? Si tumetumia 29,000. Si Y ndio 29,000. X 19,000. Gani Januari tumetumia nini? Material usage. Oh, tumetumia. Si ni ndio tumetumia hii. 38,200 ama? Ni 58 ama 38? Ni 58. Above multiplies 9,700 times 6. Ni 58 ama 38? Huh? Ni 58. Okay, sawa. Ni 58,200. So badilisha tu sawa. 58,200 so itakuja ngapi? Kila kitu kingine iko sawa except hiyo, si ndio? Haya, inakuja ngapi? 66? 66,200. So hii ni 58, sorry. Sawa sawa. So hiyo ndio budget ile itatengenezwa. Hizo niliwapatia swali, hakuna mtu mmoja ambaye amejaribu. Amjaanza kusoma? Kwa nini amjaanza kusoma? Time imeanza kuyoyoma. Tuanze kusoma sawa. Hii swali ya budget na variance lazima upate swali moja. So ukianza kusoma imeanza na budget na variance. Hiyo lazima utapata swali moja hapa. Kwa kila sitting inakuwa. Budget na variance utapata swali moja. Ndio kwa swali ya variance sasa kuna kuendelea na moja. Napeleka sasa. So here, I hope this one is recorded, isn't it? So now we want to do the other part of it, and then we do flexible budget. So now they want us to periodical material price, part B, Roman 1, material price variance. What is the formula? What is the formula? Actual quantity standard price minus actual price. So that is the formula, isn't it? So we have two kinds of material. We have material A. We have material A. Material A, the actual quantity, that one you're always given, you don't compute it. Where is it given? Additional information number 9. Actual production quantity was 40,000 units. So material X, we have material X, on to A. Material X, the actual quantity was how much? 165 kgs, isn't it? So the standard price is the same as the budgeted price. They had budgeted to buy each price at what price? 10 shillings per kg. Where? Note number 4. Note number? The budgeted price is the same as the standard price. They had budgeted to buy each product at what price? 10 shillings. And then they bought it at what price? 10.2. So how much do you get? Napata ngapi? Eh? 33,000? Advance. No. Then we have material Y. Actual quantity ni ngapi? 238,000. Standard price ni ngapi? 15 shillings. Actual price ni ngapi? 15.10. Unapata ngapi? So this one, we don't need this one now. Unapata ngapi? 23 advance. Then you add the total. 33 plus 23, 800, unapata ngapi? Eh? 56,000 advance. Hiyo tumemaliza. We go to number material price variance. And then you want to produce material usage variance. Nani ya karibu na mimi? Utaona kama nyuma sasa. What is the formula? What is the formula? Standard price standard quantity, actual quantity, isn't it? So we have material X. Material, the standard price is 10 shillings, isn't it? Standard quantity, we have been told we need 4 kgs to produce 1 unit. So according to your standard, to produce 1 unit, you need how many kgs? 4, isn't it? Now, if you're producing 40,000 units, you see now we want to compare the actual material they use to produce how many units? 40,000, isn't it? So now how many kgs do you need? Isn't it? So it is 40,000 times, it is 4 times 40, the actual, and then in minus, the actual material quantity used is how much? 165,000. Si ni kweli? Si ndio? Unapata ngapi? Ukipata hizi swali za variance hizo ni kama unataka upite mtihani. When you get variance analysis, you just need to get everything right. Unapata ngapi? 40 times, that is 160. Is it 160,000? Minus 165,000, nakuja ngapi? 50,000 advance. Yes. Alafu kuna material Y. So the standard price ni ngapi? 15. And then we need 6 kgs to produce 1 unit, isn't it? So you multiply 6 times 40. Actual usage ilikuwa ngapi? 238. So unapata ngapi? Huh? 30,000 advance or favorable? Favorable, isn't it? So itakuwa ngapi? 20,000 advance, ndio? Yes. What the material usage? Budget. Then number 3, we go to what we call labor rate variance. Nani anajua formula? Actual hours, standard rate, actual rate. Hiyo ndio formula. Actual hours wewe unapewa. Actual hours hapa ni ngapi? Actual hours ni 32,000, ndio? Standard rate unaambia the budgeted labor cost. Walikuwa na budget 1089, isn't it? Alafu walikuwa wametuambia note number 7, budgeted direct labor hours per unit of finished goods was, so 1 unit according to their budget, the hours should take how many hours? 33 3.5, 3/4 hour, isn't it? So the total production really only produce, isn't it? For those 3 months, we are doing for 3 months, isn't it? What was the total production in January? 97? Was it 97,200? What is the total production in January? 9,700. Yes. In February? 12,000. And then in March? 14,000. When you add those, that is the total production for the 3 months. Eh? 36? So what about 36,300? 36,300 units, correct? Are we together? So according to their budget, if they're producing 1 unit, they use how many hours? 3 or quarter? An hour, isn't it? Now when you're producing 36,300 units, that is the total production for the 3 months, January, February, and quarter, isn't it? So it will be 36,300 times 3 over 4 of an hour ni ngapi? An hour inakuwa na 60. So 3 over 4 unapata ngapi? 27,225 hours, isn't it? So these are the budgeted hours. So the total cost, the budgeted cost will be 1089,000, isn't it? So ukitaka kupata cost per hour una divide, sio? Una divide na 27,225. Utapata the rate per hour. So this is the budgeted cost, this is the budgeted hour. So we want to know what is the rate per hour, isn't it? So the total production unapata ngapi? Sijui kama tumeelewana hapo. 40. So the standard rate ni 40. Si ndio? Nataka niweke hapa. So is equals to 40. Actual rate ni ngapi? Unachukua 13. Unachukua 13, 12,000, una divide na 32,000. Unapata ngapi? 13, 12,000, una divide na 32,000. Unapata ngapi? Minus ni 41. Yeah, 41. So unapata ngapi? I hope unaelewa hapo, si ndio? So 41 minus 40 minus 41 1. So unapata ngapi? 32,000 advance. Nani hajaelewa nirudie? Umeelewa? Hiyo ndio inaitwa labor rate variance. Tumeelewana? So hivi vile nasema hakuna ule mtu hajaelewa, sasa tunaweza endelea mbele. Haya, tukuje tuangalie nini? Direct labor number 4. They want us to do to labor efficient variance. Nani anajua formula yake? Standard rate, standard hours minus actual hours, ndio? So standard rate ni ngapi? Ni 40. Standard rate ndio hii 40. That is a 40. Then standard hours, according to them, 1 unit should take 3.25 an hour, isn't it? So you're going to multiply 3/4 times 40,000 units. You get the standard hours of producing 40,000 units. According to the standard, 1 unit should take 3/4 for now, isn't it? What about 40? Then actual hours is how? 32. Unapata ngapi? Yote umefanya yote 80,000 hours, 80,000 advance, favorable advance gani hii na hii advance sawa. So now that is how we make those. Tumeelewana? So now you are free to attempt any question on budgets and standard costing. If you get problems, the best thing is to consult, isn't it? So we have, according to my analysis, there's no sitting you will miss a question on budgets and standard costing. Either of them, sometimes all of them, like in this sitting, or one of them. So if you're an proactive student, you see, if you're a wise student, you know what is the difference between wisdom and knowledge? So knowledge is what you know, isn't it? If you don't know something, you are ignorant, correct? But once you know, you are knowledgeable. But now the application part of it, that is where wisdom comes. You can know and then you don't apply, then you're not wise, isn't it? I've already told you that this thing will come. Then now you meander around, and then you don't get it right. You start blaming the government, isn't it? Yeah, everything should blame the government. So now we're going to write, because the notes are there in the, we have the notes in the handout, but we have just a few additional notes. This one is also applicable to those who are doing ATD. So we have fixed and flexible budget. So you can just write a few notes here, additional to what we have. So you can write a fixed budget. What is a fixed budget? I hope you've written this one, you are okay, isn't it? So we have fixed and flexible budget. So we're doing now fixed and flexible budget. So we don't need this information. So we have fixed and flexible budget. So we have a fixed budget. So we have fixed and flexible budgets. Fixed and flexible budget. Then we start with a fixed budget. A fixed budget. A fixed budget. And then you write it's a budget which is designed. It is a budget. It is a budget. It is a budget which is designed. Which is designed to remain unchanged. To remain unchanged. Regardless of the volume of output. Regardless of the volume. Regardless of the volume of output or sales achieved or sales achieved. So it's a budget that is designed to remain unchanged. Okay. So disadvantages of this budget, disadvantages of this budget. So number one, so they are rigid. So they are rigid. They are rigid. They are rigid. Hence, may lead to poor planning. May lead to poor planning. May lead to poor planning. So they are rigid. Hence, may lead to poor planning. That is number one. So number two, they demotivate workers, demotivate workers, demotivates workers, demotivate workers when used in performance measurement, when used in performance, measurement. They motivate workers when used in performance measurement. And then number three, encourages the tendency of spending up to the allocated amount, and this encourages fraud, and this encourages fraud, encourages the tendency of spending up to the allocated amount, and this encourages fraud. The rigid hand may lead to, so those are the disadvantages of fixed budgets. And then we have what we call flexible budget. Flexible budget. So this is a budget designed to change. So this is a budget designed to change, as the level of output changes, as the level of output changes. So they are designed to change as the level of output changes. So this is obtained by flexing the original budget. This is obtained by flexing the original budget. This is changed by flexing the original budget. Using the flexing base or factor. Then you have the advantages of flexible budget. 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 So number one, advantages of flexible budget. Number one, good in planning and control. Good in planning and control. Good in planning and control. Good in planning and control, since it considers several options. Good in planning and control. Good in planning and control, since it considers several options. Number two, it motivates workers in performance measurement. It motivates workers in performance measurement. motivates workers in performance measurement. Since it compares the likes and likes. It compares the likes and likes. It compares the likes and likes. What do you mean by likes and likes? For example, the original budget can say that you are producing 10,000 units, isn't it? But the actual one was 9,000. So you're being compared on the, if you're being compared on the original, you're being compared on the production of how much? So you see now these ones are not like, they're not likes. But now the flexible one, they will adjust to 10,000. So now you're being compared the likes and likes. Are you getting? If you're being compared on the original, which was based on 10,000, and the actual production was 9, isn't it? So we need to flex it. So the budget should be flexed to adjust to the 9,000. Then number 3, does not encourage the tendency. Does not encourage the tendency. Does not encourage the tendency of spending up to the allocated amount. Of spending up to the allocated amount. Does not encourage the tendency of spending up to the allocated amount. That one. You see, original budget, if they said you're going to spend 100,000 on a particular activity, even if you do just 40% of that activity, you see, you're going to do everything to spend the entire amount, isn't it? But now the flexible budget will, if you operated at 40%, the budget will be adjusted to 40%. So you can't spend the entire amount, isn't it? Tendency, the spelling. It does not encourage the tendency of spending up to the allocated amount. Steps followed in making flexible budgets. Steps followed in making flexible budget. Steps followed in making flexible budget. Steps followed in making flexible budget. Number 1, assign the original budget output 100%. Assign the original budget output. Assign the original budget output. Assign the original budget output 100%. That is number 1. Number 2, compute. You compute the flexing base. Compute the flexing base. The flexing base. And then number 3, for the variable items, such as sales, e.g. sales, and variable costs, For the variable items, e.g. sales and variable costs, multiply by the flexing base. Multiply by the flexing base. The flexing for the variable items, e.g. sales and variable costs, multiply by the flexing base. Then number 4, for the fixed item, maintain. For the fixed items, maintain. For the fixed item, maintain. So those are the steps. So now, illustration of May 2018, CPA May 2018. CPA May 2018. Is it 2018 or 2017? I think it is 2018. November 2017, sorry. Question number 5. November 2017, question number November 2017, question number 5. 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 So the question reads, Magspa Limited manufactures a single product branded Y. So the following data relates to its operation for the month of October 2017. So we have been given the budgeted sales units. So we have been given the budgeted items, and then we have been given the actual items. So these budgeted items are the original budget. Are the original? The budgeted are the original items, correct? And then we have been given the actual. Are we together? So we have been given they had budgeted to sell 60,000. To produce how many thousands? 60, isn't it? Then you have a flex budget, so required a flex budget for the month of October 2017 for the actual sales of 58,000 units. So we're going to use the sales units as a flexing factor. You can either use the sales or production units. So we say the original one, the original sales units, isn't it? So we're going to compute the flexing base. The flexing base. So we said the original one, you assign it 100%. So they had already the original one. The original one they had budgeted to sell 60. So we're using we have been told to use the sales units as a flexing base. So we can either use the sales units or the production units. So mostly use the production units, but here they are very specific. We use them. So we're saying here, this one we assign it 100%, isn't it? But now they sold how many units? So now the question is at 58, what is percentage is that, isn't it? Are you together? So it's going to be 58,000. You divide by 60,000, isn't it? 0.997 what? 0.97, isn't it? So this one, you're going to multiply it with all the variable items, the original variable items. Are we together? So now when you come here, you're going to write here flexible budget. You're going to write here flexible budget. So you're going to write here flexible budget. Then here you can even write actual, and you can write here variance. So you can write here flexible budget. So we have items here. We have items. So the first item there is sales. Sales is a variable item, isn't it? So sales is a variable item, correct? So we're going to multiply 0.97 times sales. Sales, the original one is 840. The original one, 840. What do you get? No, it is percentage. You still have to divide it. You can't multiply percent direct. So there's no need, isn't it? Yeah. So it means these people operated at 97%, not 100%, isn't it? So now we adjust the budget at 97%. So how much do you get? 800. So 800 so the budget for 100% is 84. For 97% is supposed 800. 14,800. Are you sure? A bonus idea calculator here. 14,800. Hiyo ni 58,000, sindio? Ukidivide na 60, sindio? Unapata 0.97, sindio? Times 840,000, sindio? Unapata 812. Ebu multiply hiyo bila ku round off. Unapata 812. Ebu kufanya tena. Don't write round off, okay, itakuwa tu sawa, lakini I think the best thing bila round off utapata 812,000 bila round off. Bila kura? Okay, sasa umeround off. Umepata 800 and 814? 800. Then the actual budget, actual sales ilikuwa ngapi? 823, 600. These are the actual, isn't it? So this is the budgeted at 97% operation level, sindio? Original ni 840. Sijui kama tunaelewa sasa kutengeneza flexible budget. So the difference inakuja ngapi? 800. 8,000 favorable, sindio? If you get more sales than the budget, then it means you performed well, isn't it? Income, if you get more income than what you had budgeted to get, then it's a favorable situation, correct? See you tomorrow. So sales is, and then now here we less the cost. We have the cost. Cost, we have direct material. We have direct material, correct? So direct material 0.97 multiplied by 240. What do you get? Direct material is a variable component. Unapata ngapi? 232, 800, is it? And then the actual is how much? 246,000, isn't it? Now we have variance 13,200. 13,200 advance, isn't it? Advance. If the actual costs are more than the budget, then it's a negative scenario, isn't it? Cost. And then we go to direct 13,200. So 13,200 are advance. Advance means negative. Then we go to the direct labor. Direct labor is also a variable component. There's a student, this method of account analysis, you know, they normally give you cost and their classification. Yeah? So you're given cost and they are classified, isn't it? So now, when the direct material they were silent, they never gave classification. And then the direct labor, they also never gave classification. But they expected you to be knowing that direct labor is a variable cost, isn't it? So they will not tell you sometimes. They know you should be knowing that it's a variable cost, correct? So direct labor here, it will be 0.97 times 300,000. So what do you get here? Two? 291,000. 291,000, isn't it? And the other one actually is 288,000. So unapata ngapi hapo? 3,000 favorable, isn't it? Then we have fixed overhead, isn't it? Fixed overhead ngapi? We say that one you take the way it is 130, you take the way original is, correct? And then here we have 140, actual is 140, isn't it? So 5,000 advance, ndio? Hiyo unachukua vile iko, unachukua the original. Actual sasa unajua inaweza labda landlord inaweza kuwa na some variations, ndio? So the fixed overhead kwa flexible na original zinakuwa the same, lakini actual inaweza kuwa tofauti. Sasa actually 140. So ni 5,000 advance. Ukishamaliza hivyo unasema hapa net income. Net income. So we take this sales minus this cost. This sales minus this cost. Can we do it? Hiyo nini kwa ile uko na sign? Who was the last person on that particular sign sheet? Umeandika. So how much you get for flexible? 1473. And this other one? So all of you mlianza na hii. Aya, mtu mwingine hadi hizi. Hii ni positive, hii ni negative, positive, negative. 14,600, isn't it? And this one? Huh? 64,900. Sometimes they can require to prepare a reconciliation statement. So right there, budgeted profit. Budgeted profit is 40. Yes. Atakuja nini? Wewe umepata tofauti? Umepata wapi tofauti? Hii ukichukua hii minus hizi upati hii. No, you're deducting. This is income minus expenses. So this is the net income. This is how much? 56,000. So this one is 56,000. You don't add 156,000. And this other one? It is the same. This one is okay. Yeah, do the right thing. Huh? 149.
In our issue, let me ask, for example, which is adverse.
Hii ni negative. So unachukua hii ni positive una minus hii, una add hii, una minus hii. Shida iko wapi? This is positive 8,800 minus 13,200 ama plus minus, eh? Si ndio? Yes. Hapo unapata ngapi? Is it correct this one? 149,600, eh? So this is 149,600. So so this one, huh? Hata hii ni wrong. Nakuja ngapi? 64. 6,400 advance or positive? Advance, eh? So now the budgeted profit is 156,000, and then you add variance there. So variance. So variance is, if it is negative, you deduct. If it is positive, you add. So when you deduct, you get the actual profit. Imekuja kama hiyo, si ndio? 149,600. Is it so? Eh? Yes. So that is one way in which they can be able to frame that question of budget, a flexible budget, si ndio? Swali mtu kama hajaelewa, tumesema budget is very sensitive. Hakuna haja uanguke mtihani. Siku hizi kuanguka mtihani wewe unataka tu. Because information is all over. Isn't it? Unatembea na nyingine kwa simu, si kama kitambo tukifanya sisi. Kupata information ilikuwa very rare. Simu haikuwa siku hizo. Simu ni invention ya juzi. Si ndio? Na internet. Sasa hii hata unaweza soma tu advantages za flexible budget ukienda tu nyumbani. So kuna May 2019, question number 5. Unataka kuandika hiyo kweli kwanza, sio? So we have a question that was done in
Yes, yes, yes.
so we can do May 2019 question number. May 2019 question number. So May 2019, question number 5A. May 2019, question number 5A. So the question reads, or it is time. It is not yet, isn't it? It's almost, huh? You know, if I delay, it might be a problem for some people, isn't it? Yeah, it might be a problem for some people. So they might not like it. So, Limit Processing Company Limited manufactures a standard product branded LM. Currently, it is operating on a normal activity level of how much? 70%. With an output of how much? 6,300 units, isn't it? So the sales director believes that a realistic forecast for the next budget period would be an activity level of how much? 50%. So the following data relates to the forecasted cost, isn't it? Forecasted cost at different production levels. So we have production level 60, the cost, and then 70 and 80. So profit is 20% of the selling price. So required A, Roman 1, flexible budget based on 50% level of activity, 7 marks. And then set 3 problems which might arise from such a change in the level of activity, 3 marks. Total marks, 10. So here we are operating at, currently we are operating at 70. So 70% and the cost will be, so at 70% we are producing a cost of how much? 176, 400 for example for material, isn't it? Now what about 50%, isn't it? Isn't it? So, yeah, so flexible budget here. We're not flexible budget. So the flexible budget here, so the material cost, the direct material at 50%. 50? So we have direct material cost. So budget can be an estimate of both cost and revenue, or just cost alone, isn't it? So it will be, so 50%, so it will be 50 times 176, 400, isn't it? Over 70, what do you get? 100. Even you can attempt to find out, if you attempt, you can even, we've been given the operation level of 60%. Of 60% is how much? 70%, we've been told cost is how much? 176, 400, isn't it? And then 60% we have been told is how much? 151. The difference, this is the difference is 10%, isn't it? So the difference here is 10%. What is the 10%? Difference here, kutoka hapa mpaka hapa 10. 25? 25,200, so it means this 25,200, if we subtract here, we go to 50, isn't it? So the difference between this is, so what, this is 151,200 is 60, isn't it? And the difference is 25,200. So 151,200 minus 25,200, what do you get? 126,000, isn't it? 206,600 minus 176,400, what do you get? You still get the similar amount. So from 80 to 70, but the same. So you can also test if they are the same. If they are not the same, you use this other one, isn't it? Yeah, the difference then unarudi, si ndio? Umepewa 60 unarudi sasa kwa see the difference, the 10% ni hii. So kutoka kwa 60 uende kwa 50 ni 10%. Kutoka kwa 60 kwa 50 ni 10%. So the values of 60 you deduct just this difference, isn't it? And then you go back to 50%. So, alternatively, you can just cross multiply. Then we have direct wages. That one is also over variable. So it will 50 times 75, 600. So, over 7. Tunapata ngapi? Huh? 64,000. 54,000 like this. Sasa hata ukitest pia hebu test 75,600 minus 64,800 75,600 minus 64,800 unapata ngapi? 75,600 minus 64,800, what do you get? 10,800, isn't it? So 64,800 minus 10,800, 50? 54,000. So that is okay. And then you go to production overhead. Production overhead ngapi? So 50 times 164,800 over 70. What do you get? Eh? 117? 117? 714. Kuna point tena? Iko sawa? Aya, kuna admin overhead, administrative admin overhead, sindio? Hizo ni fixed. So they are the same all levels, isn't it? So they will be the same here. Even here itakuwa ngapi? 126,000, sindio? Si ni kweli? Selling and, so we have selling and distribution. Selling and distribution. So it will be how much? It will be 50 times 176,400 over 70. What do you get? Eh? 126,000. Like this. So those are the total. And then you add, you get the total cost. Get the total cost. Add all this. Shuku bwana, bwana tumepata hiyo nini? Is it okay? Hiyo admin 90,400. No, it's not constant. Why is it at admin is constant? Correct. Admin is constant. I'm talking about production. It's okay. Nione. Acha ni test na ile style nyingine. Ile style mimi siwaamini. So since this one we have been told at 70, this is the cost you're incurring. Senor, what about 50? Sio ni rahisi tu. 70% this is the cost. The current operation is 70%, senor. Na hii ndio cost wanaingia. So wanataka 50%. Sasa lazima tena sio tu ni swali. 70% unaingia cost. Na ukioperate at 50 utaingia cost gani? Sio ndio kitu tunajaribu kufanya. Si rahisi sana. Hata unaweza fanya kama umefunga macho. Kwa nini hii inakataa? Si inasema 136 ukiminus. Ukiminus, okay, ukichukua, okay, if you take 164,800, correct? Minus 150,400, isn't it? You get to 14,400. And then you take 150,400, isn't it? Minus that answer, you get 136,000. So no? 136 in 164,800. Sindio? Ikikataa unachukua hiyo the difference ya hiyo nyingine, unatumia hiyo style nyingine. So hiyo hapa tunaweka 130. If kama Italy hiyo cross multiplication kama Italy unachukua hiyo nyingine, itakuwa 136. If it doesn't agree when you have been given different levels and where you can, unanielewa? Selling and distribution. You're selling in distribution, it agree. So you're selling distribution 176,400. 176,400, correct? minus 169 200, si ndio? Unapata 7,200, si ndio? Alafu unachukua 169 200 minus 7,200. Unapata hiyo unapata ngapi? 126. Umepata 162.
Yes.
Hapa umepata 126. Umepata 126. Then cross multiplication atupatie the right thing. So we're going to be deducting. Hiyo umepata 50 times 176 400, isn't it? Divided by 70 inatupatia 126. Lakini okay, unaona ukichukua 183 600, 183 minus 176 400, isn't it? So you still get the 7,200, isn't it? So the difference, so hiyo itabidi tuende na I don't know kama mnaelewa what I'm trying to say. We are saying we have been given the cost at 70%, isn't it? So the cost at 70%, for example, this that we are cost multiplication is giving us a different figure. That is which cost is that? Production overhead, isn't it? At 70%, it is 164,800, isn't it? At 60% is how much? 150. The difference is how much? This the difference is 10%, isn't it? So the difference is how much? The difference is 14,400, isn't it? So the difference here is 14,400. So it means if you subtract this cost of 60%, you subtract 14,400, you'll go to 50%, isn't it? So if you take 150,400, which is 60%, isn't it? Then you subtract the difference of 10%, which is 14. You get how much? 136. If you want to know that is the truth, if you also get the 80% minus 70, you still get the difference of 14,400. So you should do that. If the cross multiplication is giving you different answers, where then even different levels of operation, then you should now use the subtraction way. So you come at so here tunatumia 136,000, hapa 162, where cross multiplication agrees with the deduction, you unaacha inakaa hivyo, sawa? Yeah, the admin overhead are fixed because at all levels here 126. At 60%, 126, isn't it? At 70% it is at 80, so it means even at 50 will be 126. So you cannot tumesikizana? Tungefanya vile tunafanya hizo zingine. Ingekuwa variable. So now we add, can we add, get the total cost? Can we add, get the total cost? Add, we get the total cost. So here we can even show this one, production overhead here. You can show now, you don't show this one. You show it was 150, 400 minus 14,400. Sindio? Na hii ingine unaonesha hapa. Ilikuwa ngapi? 1. Hii ingine ni 169, 200 minus 7,200. Silikuwa hivyo? Unaelewa? Yeah. Unajua sasa ni usiku kidogo tena. You are tired, isn't it? But most of you are young. Young people, the advantage you have is a lot of energy. Isn't it? So you need to know your advantage at every time of life. So now your advantage is energy. So how do you utilize the energy? You can only utilize your energy well if you have a vision. If you don't have a vision, you can't utilize your energy well. You know what is a vision? Unajua vision. Kama una vision utaskata your energy. Siku nyingine wewe enda maandamano. So yeah, you can use your energy just like that, isn't it? Sindio? Yeah. So add all of them. Ukiwa na energy mingi unajua unaweza misuse. Ama? Nyinyi si majenzi ama? Ama nyinyi mmeshatoka hiyo level? So this is 604,000, isn't it? Then you have been given the selling price. You have been given so the selling price is 20, it is 20% on what? So selling price, you have been given margin. They have given us margin. Margin is selling price on 20%. Selling the profit on selling price. This is cost price. This is, so you have to convert margin to markup. Margin rhymes with the selling price. Okay? But markup rhymes with the cost price. So you have to convert margin to markup. So you take the numerator, you deduct from the denominator. So your markup will be 20 over. So you write here markup. 20 out of 80. Then you multiply by 6 or 4,000. You multiply by 20 divided by 80. So you get 151,000. And then plus 6 or 4,000. So the selling price will be 755,000. So that is the selling price. Selling price. If you now apply this margin directly to 755,000, if you apply 20%, directly you get 151,000. So that you convert. If you have been given margin and you have the costs, so they don't rhyme. So now, just another reminder, where you have been given the different levels, the way you have been given here, and then when you subtract those levels, it doesn't tally with the cross multiplication. Then you give priority to the deduction. So we have so many. Yes, you have a question? You subtract the numerator from the denominator. Add when you have markup to margin. Markup to margin, you add the numerator to the denominator. Sasa ukitaka kwenda kurudi huko, so una add tu hapo. So unarudi huko 20 out of. Kama umepewa markup unataka kwenda kwa margin, unachukua numerator una add kwa denominator. If you have margin to markup, you deduct. Sindio? Margin to markup, you deduct. Markup to margin, you add. So now there is also another question. What would be the problems in changing the production volume? You have been operating at a higher volume, but now you are adjusting to a lower volume. What do you think could be the disadvantages? Number one, you might now reduce your profits, isn't it? You might reduce, so it can lead to reduction in profit because now you're operating at a lower level than the higher level. And then number two, there can be idle capacity. There will be resources that are not being utilized, isn't it? There's a possibility that the resources will not be unutilized resources. Then number three, there can be customer dissatisfaction because now you're reducing the original sales quantity. So some customers might not be. So you're saying it can lead to reduction of profits because of production at a lower level. You're selling lesser than what you sold before. And then there can be idle capacity. And then customer dissatisfaction. So we have so many questions of flexible budgets. I want you at your free time to attempt. So the language here is, yes. So I give you one, isn't it? Or you don't want? So next, on Sunday, we'll not be doing budgets again. We'll be doing now the last topic, which is cost method. That is very, very important, especially if you're doing a TD. Make sure you attend. We're doing cost method on Sunday, and we finish it up on Friday. Then we start thorough revision. On those areas that uko na swali? Uliza. master budget sasa waletangi sana, nimeandika tu some notes hapo naweza soma, lakini waletangi sana. Hata sijani walileta mwisho 2013. So hiyo at waste time unayo sana. So unafaa tu usome ujue what is a master budget. What is a master budget? So niliwaambia mkuje Monday, sikuwa na mtu. Monday road na green nitakuja. Kuna ka test kidogo nione wale watu wanajibu. Ndio wengine wale gani naelewa, lakini sasa ukikuja hiyo test kama nimepatia watu wa day test ya ingine hapo. So vitu zile nafikiria wanaelewa, kumbe hao watu waelewi hizo vitu. Very simple stuff. So wewe kuja tu fanya hiyo cut. Tuone kama unaelewa. Unaelewa? Sio utakuja Monday. Sisi ile jioni, what time do you want to come? Anytime you come, I'll give you. On Monday, isn't it? So we agree on Monday you're coming for a test, isn't it? Anytime you come. Anytime you come. You can even come, if you're there, you're not going to work, you can come even during the day. Not necessarily, kama unaenda job, utakuja. So you can attempt April 2022. April 2022 question number 5. April 2022 question number attempt. April 2022 question number 5. April 2022 question number 5. Hiyo moja tu. Any other question on budgets? You also need to go and read on the differences between budget and forecasting, the characteristics of a budget, advantages of a budget. And then you need to know some other things, advantages and disadvantages of budgets. So, read on those items. So today that is the end of a class. Ama time yetu jaisha? Imeisha? Sawa. So Sunday tunafanya course method. Don't miss. The last one.